What's been said now?
I don't know, and I just don't like it. It just makes me feel very off. And I hate like people trying to make people feel like you don't think about other people's feelings. I'm just such an emotional person. Like,
It's a bit rich for the guys to be criticizing Scott without actually saying what he said that makes them think that Scott's relationship with Catherine might not be genuine. I think the producers have instigated this fight. I think the producers have encouraged Sammy and Ty to go and poke at Scott because Scott and Catherine were not giving them the drama that they needed, and because of that, they've decided to bring toxicity from outside instead of sort of continuing to sort of poke at whatever Catherine and Scott were dishing out. And I didn't like that. I thought it was terrible. I thought it was in poor taste, given the fact that Ty is close friends with Catherine. I think he should have pulled Catherine aside if he felt that Scott was not being genuine and told her that be cautious of Scott, he doesn't have your best interest at heart. But anyway, we'll see how that plays out. And for Leah to be saying that Whitney needs to go and sort of explain to Katie what's going on between her and Zachariah, that's none of Leah's business. Leah needs to go and sit somewhere with Montel, and for Montel to say, "Oh, Whitney will be laying it thick on Zachariah." Why are these people undermining Whitney? I don't get it. Why are they undermining Whitney? What is it about Whitney that they think is not desirable? I don't get it. Zack likes Whitney. I'm going to say this. I am going to be one of the first people to say Zachariah likes Whitney. Zachariah, after the kiss in the football challenge, was sort of excited. And it seems he's been eyeing Whitney across the villa. And during the dance challenge, that's when he really turned. Because when he came out, he kissed only Whitney. And he knew what he was doing. And he knows what he's doing. And I don't get how people cannot understand that. But anyway, I digress. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's your girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island, Season 10, Episode 25. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, a comment, and turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos. Ladies and gentlemen, Exhibit A. This is why I've been saying that Mitch needs to stay in the villa. Mitch and his messy self needs to stay in the villa. I know it's supposed to be about romantic couplings. I don't care who he couples up with. I know the girls I know if are going to couple up with him because of how he sort of freaked them out about the way he behaved towards Molly. But I think, oh my god, he cracks me up. So he pulls Katie for a chat and sort of tries to sort of worm his way in. He didn't come out and say it exactly. So he was trying to find out about her connection with Zack and how she feels that the date went and stuff. And then he told Katie that, oh, Zack said your conversation was very dry. And it's like, oh, if it's not working with Zack, you can come to me. And it's like, Mitch, why? Why? And he knows what he's doing because as soon as Zack comes, he sort of gives Katie the eye to say, don't say anything, don't say anything. And it's like, why would you do that? Why would you involve yourself in somebody else's relationship? You know, use your own game and don't try to destroy somebody else's coupling just because you can't find someone. This is the same way he tried to win Jess over by sort of criticizing Sammy. I know Sammy is not worth crap, but still, he goes and he badmouths someone to the girl, and then he says to them, "Oh, okay, since he's a bad guy, why not come to me?" And it's like, Mitch, that's not how you start a conversation or explore connection. Bring your A game. Say something else about you or something you like about the girl and start a conversation that way. Don't go there and start bashing somebody else. That's not fair. And you could tell. So as soon as Zachariah sat down, he then stood up and he went off because I think he was afraid that Katie would say something in his presence. And it's like, I don't think Zachariah and Katie really liked each other that much. I think Zachariah is just with Katie because she chose him and he has to be in a coupling with someone. But then the surprising thing is their communication is terrible. And yet when they're in bed, they're making out. And it's like, which is it? Is it just a sexual attraction and there's nothing there emotionally? Or what is it? That didn't make sense to me. Obviously, the guys then sat down with Zack. So he sat down with Sam and Ty, and they're sort of saying to him, you need to continue to work on your connection with Katie. Obviously, you're trying to sort of impress her because you're worried that, oh, she's this high class lady, so I have to be classy in how I present myself. No, and I was like, you're from South London. Present yourself as a guy with swag from South London, and It's up to her whether she likes it or not. Don't try and change yourself for her. Be who you are. Use your game, and your game will get you whatever you want. And I was like, Ty, why? Why? You're supposed to be coming down now that you're closed off. But anyway, they then asked him about his connection with Whitney or the conversation, and he was very vague about it. He was very vague. He wouldn't say whether or not he was attracted to her. He wouldn't say whether or not he liked the conversation. He just said, "Oh, I need to speak to her tomorrow," and it's like, just be honest. Just be honest and tell the truth. Are you worried that if you say you're not interested in Katie, somebody's going to run back and tell her? Mitch has already told her, so there's no need to worry. On her part, Whitney's having a conversation with the girls, and Scott is there, just, supporting his girl. He's just sitting with Catherine. And she sort of says she liked the conversation with Zack. So they've always been eyeing one another. And so she doesn't know where that will go. So it's up to Zack whether or not he's going to pull her. And for me, I'm just like, I think Zachariah just needs to play his part. Whitney will get him to the finale. I think he needs to leave Katie and he needs to go with Whitney, and he just needs to know his place and know that he's a supporting member in the in that role, and that because Whitney cannot win the show on her own, so he just needs to stand beside her and be her partner because she needs to be in a couple in order to win, and then she can win the show and they can split whatever portion of the money that she wants to give him, because most of the fans are really invested in Whitney. But hey, anyway, the islanders go to the bedrooms, get ready, and the guys are sort of saying, what was Mitch saying to Katie? They're questioning that. Why would he go and speak to a girl that's coupled up with someone and sort of be bad mouthing the person that is in a couple with that person? It doesn't make sense. I don't know how they're going to feel when they hear what Mitch was saying, but hey, it is what it is. The girls were chatting in their changing room. Catherine is very happy with Scott. She feels that, he makes her happy, and I wish we could see more of their scenes. So the islanders get ready for bed. And poor Whitney, she's still sleeping with a pile of pillows. I think she really misses Maddie. And then Jess says she's going to sleep downstairs. Sammy doesn't join her. If he really liked her that much, why didn't he go and join her downstairs? Was he not allowed to go and sleep downstairs with her? He could have gone on the day bed. I remember Ty once slept on the day bed with Ella. He's not really into Jess. He's just using her until he finds the next bombshell. That's my opinion. Anyway, so in the morning there is debriefing. Zack talks about the fact that he is attracted to Whitney. Their conversation was amazing. He does rate her, and then he also talks about the fact that with KD things seem to be going great, and KD told him what Mitch said, and it's like. Messy Mitch. This is why I like him on the show, but also it creates a lot of tension because you can tell Zack is not happy at all. And then Whitney says she'll enjoy the chat with Zack. She's enjoying getting to know him, so they'll see how it goes. Catherine and Scott are very happy with their coupling. They both feel their date went amazing, and they feel that they've revealed a couple of layers, which I think is great. KD is playing hard to get. And I think the fact that Whitney started speaking to Zack is now showing her that her hard to get might actually be pushing Zack away. So she said she's going to have a conversation with Zack to find out if he's really serious about Whitney. If he is, then she might explore things with Mitch. And for me, it's like she's just looking for someone to keep her on the show. That's it. I think she thought she was going to get the same treatment as Adam Pollard did when he came in and coupled up with Paige and stayed with Paige until they were booted out. So I think she thought by coupling up with Zachariah, she'd stay with Zachariah until the end. But it seems like chances are, if Zachariah's head is turned by Whitney, she's going to be going home, unless they keep her there for Mitch. That could be another reason. They could be just a friendship couple that will last until the end, and we could have messy Mitch in the villa all the time and causing havoc, and we'll see how that goes. So Zachary, after debriefing, then sits down and has a conversation with Sammy and Ty. Because Sammy, during debriefing, told Mitch that if you're going to pursue Katie, you need to have a conversation first with Zack. Don't just go and start pursuing Katie without speaking to Zack. You need to speak to Zack, let him know how you feel. So when Zack is sitting with Ty and Sammy, they're sort of encouraging him to have a conversation with Mitch and sort of address his concerns or whatever is bugging him, because obviously he's upset that Mitch told Katie that he said the conversation was dry. So So Katie eventually owns up and says that Mitch is the one who told her that her conversation with Zack was dry, which then aggravates Zack. And so Zack has a conversation with Ty, I think, to sort of tell him this is what Mitch has been saying. I think just to sort of brainstorm before he approaches Mitch. They sit down with Mitch, have a conversation, and he's saying to Mitch, what happened? How did it get to you saying that our conversation with Katie was dry? I never said you should go and tell her. Why would you do that? That's not right. And Mitch is saying, oh, I was just trying to be a wingman. And it's like, Mitch, tell the truth. You're trying to sabotage him, and that way you could get a leg in. You weren't trying to do it because you're trying to look after Zach's best interest. Because if you were, you would have continued to advise Zach without needing to speak to Katie. But you did that because you're trying to create a wedge. That way you can step in and end up being in a couple with Katie, the same way you did with Sammy. And I like the guys calling him out and telling him and that it's not acceptable. And even Sammy told him that that's unacceptable for you to be trying to sort of divide a couple so you can find someone to couple up with. If you're going to have a chat, have a chat. You don't need to be sort of interfering in somebody else's conversation or somebody else's connection. I think Mitch really liked Molly. And sadly, when Molly turned him down, he lost his game. And because of that, he's now desperate. He's looking for a way to stay in the villa and he wants to stay in the villa for as long as he can. And the only thing he can do is try to sabotage other couples. That way he can take a step in because he sort of turned his back on all the ladies right from the jump and told him that the only person he was interested in was Molly. The only person who turned him on was Molly. And now for him to go back to those people and say, actually, you do turn me on, it's a bit too late. And I think this is why Jess has decided to turn off from him. And then I didn't get why Sammy and Ty decided to start criticizing Scott. I really didn't get it. I don't know whether it's because Scott doesn't discuss his connection with them or whether he has said anything that they have sort of understood as Scott is not interested in Catherine. That wasn't right. And they were sitting right across from Catherine and Scott, and Catherine started crying. I didn't like it. I really didn't like it because Ty has always been friends with Catherine, and he's seen how Catherine has struggled to end up getting into a connection with someone. And so for him to then discuss it in a group with other people didn't make sense to me. I think if he had heard anything from Scott that he felt was concerning, he should have walked up to Catherine, had a conversation with Catherine, or he should have pulled up Scott on his own and told him that it wasn't acceptable. I didn't like how they did it, and I didn't like the fact that Catherine was crying. That wasn't right. Ty should have spoken to either Catherine, or he should have spoken to both Catherine and um, Scott and sort of mentioned what he had heard and why he was concerned about their coupling. They are a couple that doesn't seem to be toxic, that seems to be drama free. And I think because of that, people sort of don't understand them and think they're playing a game. They're not really. They're a boring couple. People watch more for people like Ty and Ella and their drama. It seems this week they've been okay. And this is why I was saying when they sent Maddie home, I am concerned that Catherine and Scott are now going to be the toxic couple, and it seems everybody else is trying to bring them into the mess because they refuse to be toxic. And so I think all the other couples have been sort of encouraged by the producers to sort of instigate a fight with them. That way they can be portrayed as the bad couple. That's the impression that I'm getting. Am I the only one who's giving Sammy a side eye? Because of all the horrible things he said about Jess when they uncoupled, or just before they uncoupled, I find it difficult to appreciate his excitement. So he receives a text message to say you're single, you're going on a date, pick one of the girls, and Jess said it better be me. And obviously it was going to be Jess because everybody else is in a couple. So it's not like he was going to pull anyone who's already in a romantic connection or who appears to be in a stable couple. And then Whitney receives a message to say, she should pull someone. And she pulls Zachariah, I think, for the same reason that everybody else is in sort of safe couple, so she doesn't want to cause any chaos. Whereas Katie and Zack are the newest couple, so I think this is why she pulled Zack because Montel has made it known that he's not interested. And so Zack, for Sammy to be, oh, I'm so excited. We at least we get a chat. And it's like, no. You said this girl was punching. You said she wasn't your type. You said you had to force yourself to like her. Why are you suddenly pretending as though you really like her that much? I'm not buying that. So they go on their date, and so Sam is trying to rewrite history, in my opinion, because during the date, all he talks about is, we were doing this, we were doing that, and I was really heartbroken when we split up. And it's like, no, that's not what you said in your confessional. You were criticizing Jess. You were saying that you were not attracted to Jess. She's not your type, but somehow you were able to work your way around into finding her attractive, whereas you were Jess's type on paper, and this is why she found it easy to find a connection with you. And suddenly you're saying, oh, we were doing very well. I was very heartbroken when we were split up, and it's not we were split up by choice. We were split up because of circumstances that were out of our control. And I'm so happy that we can continue. And it's like, no, I don't see this going anywhere. Even for just when he asked her, what are you looking for? I think the producers prompted to ask that question, and it didn't make sense. All I can remember was her saying, "Oh, my mom would like you," even though she might be saying, "Jess, what's wrong with you?" And it's like, nah. The two of you are just gameplay. You're just keeping each other company until your type walks into the villa, or until Casa More, and then you'll find someone who's your match. That's the impression that I'm getting. Um, Zachariah, this is the first time I've heard him talk. This is the most I've heard him talk, actually. This is the most I've heard him talk on his date with Whitney. He spoke about a lot. I like the fact that he asked me Whitney first about her and Maddie and how she was dealing with Maddie living. I think the guys, everybody knew that Whitney and Maddie had a very strong connection. I think it might have been romantic, and I think we as viewers didn't say it because why else would Zachariah first sort of check on Whitney to make sure that emotionally she's okay? And then she told him that, she has to move on. She has to, put herself first. And I think Zachariah is interested in Whitney. I think he is, but he's worried that because of how she cried about Maddie, she might not be as into him as she was into Maddie. And I think would bruise his ego. He wouldn't be able to take that. But I like the fact that they spoke about everything and they were laughing, and Whitney was explaining for what she's looking for in a guy and how she wants to sort of navigate that relationship with whoever she dates. And this is the most confident I've seen Zachariah. The way that he was speaking up for himself, and the fact that he was shaking when he had to pour the wine out, I was like, oh, he likes Whitney. He likes Whitney. I think he likes Whitney. I think he likes Whitney, but he's sort of trying to gauge who the audience would want to see him with. And I think if he knew that it's okay for him to be with Whitney because the viewers like Whitney more, then he would be okay with staying with Whitney. He spoke about the fact that, he's trying to settle down. He's now 26 years old, so he wants to be more committed in a relationship. He did say that in their previous conversation that he's trying to learn how to be loyal. And so I don't know how this will play out. I think he likes Whitney. I have a feeling that Zachariah likes Whitney more than he's making out, and it would be nice. It will be nice to see them and see where that relationship goes. But long term, I don't know. Back at the villa, Kate is confiding in Catherine that, oh, I want them to be honest and tell me what's going on. If Zachariah is not into me, I want him to tell me and blah, blah. I was like, girl, you wasted your opportunity. You played hard to get. Zachariah is now being sort of trying to explore other connections. You're suddenly in your feelings and you're suddenly like, oh, why is he exploring connections with anybody else? I'm here, we're kissing in bed. And I thought to myself, it's a bit, I don't know. I don't want to say it's a bit silly for her to confide in Catherine because Catherine is very close friends with Whitney. So she might as well have just told Whitney everything she was saying. I don't know how that will play out when Whitney hears about it. Everybody goes to get ready for the night, and Scott is very upset. He doesn't even talk to anyone, he just walks through the bedroom. And Ty can see that Scott is upset. So while the Islanders are getting their drinks, Zachariah, Whitney, Sammy, and Jess come back. They're very happy, they're ecstatic, so they go for debriefing. Sammy's excited that they seem to have made amends and they seem to be on a good path. I wish the guys would call Sammy out because of all the horrible things he said about Jess when they fought. I wish somebody had said to him, "What do you mean you're starting from where you left? You were not in the best of places, so where are you starting from? Don't make it seem like you weren't saying all the horrible stuff you're saying about Jess before you uncoupled with her, and don't try and pretend like everything was hunky dory and then the two of you just continued from where you were. That doesn't make sense." Jess is excited. She tells the girls they kissed. Oh, he said his family would love me. Or this, that, and it's like, nah, that's not it, Jess. You need to explore other connections. Um, Zachariah says, his conversation with Whitney went way better than his conversation with Katie. And I think he was nervous to say that because of Mitch. He was worried Mitch would take it back. Um, on her part, Whitney was anxious, but she just said, you know, it was a good date, we had a good chat, and there is chemistry between us. And for Katie to storm off and then start crying and start, oh, poor me, why did nobody tell me that they had chemistry? And it's like, Katie, you knew that Zachariah was in a coupling with Molly. You knew that they had what they termed a romantic connection, but you still stole Zachariah. So the idea that Whitney has now developed a connection with Zachariah is not it. That's not what's upsetting you. What's upsetting you is like you're the golden child, you know, blonde hair, blue eyes, and yet someone like Whitney has managed to attract Zachariah away from you. That is what is upsetting you. It's not the fact that oh, you know, why didn't anybody tell me? That's not what's upsetting her. What's upsetting her is the fact that she might lose Zachariah to Whitney, and I don't think her ego could take that because obviously Whitney is not what society deems as the standard beauty, and she is the ideal woman. So to think that someone like Whitney could steal Zachariah from her is what is bruising her ego, and this is why she's playing victim and she's crying and whatever. The fact that Leah is saying, "Oh, you know, Whitney has to call you and have a conversation with you." For what? This is not her coupling. She's not in a romantic coupling with Zachariah. She's barely had that many conversations with him. The fact that she's kissing him in bed doesn't make them official enough to warrant an explanation from Whitney. I'm sorry, Zachariah is the one who owes an explanation, not Whitney. I didn't like Leah saying that. That really upset me. Um, and so I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. I am worried from the highlight for tomorrow because I did say this when Medi went home that the producers are going to lose for someone to be the toxic couple or to be the couple that they decide to split. And it seems because Catherine and Scott were comfortable and very peaceful, they have decided to bring in Sammy and Tariq to instigate a fight with Scott. And I really didn't like that. If Scott was saying anything behind Catherine's back, Ty has a connection, has a friendship enough, not a connection, but a friendship enough with Catherine for him to go and tell Catherine that Catherine, be cautious of this guy because his intentions towards you might not be pure. He didn't need to repeat everything, but he could have said that. But anyway, I digress. We'll discuss. But anyway, I digress. We'll discuss that tomorrow. Thanks, guys, for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Bye, everyone.